Part 31. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 301. Following the conversation between the two in the private room, several members of the program team also learned the identity of the middle-aged Taoist priest. The middle-aged Taoist came from Longhu Mountain, the Taoist Holy Land, and is now the second-generation disciple of Longhu Mountain. He studied under Zhang Yifeng, the current headmaster of Longhu Mountain, and his Taoist name is Yi Xing. He is also the current director of Evergreen Catering Company. After knowing his identity, everyone's eyes suddenly changed when they looked at Yang Lin. Previously, a group of Taoists all called Yang Lin Master Uncle. Doesn't that mean that Yang Lin and the current headmaster of Longhu Mountain are of the same generation? In order to clarify this point, several people took the initiative to ask after hesitating. Teacher Yang, what is your relationship with Longhu Mountain? Is it possible that you are really the junior brother of the current headmaster of Longhu Mountain? After hearing several people's questions, Yang Lin smiled first and then answered. Pandeo and Longhu Mountain do have a certain relationship. I spent 3 months practicing Taoism on Longhu Mountain. It's true that I didn't become a disciple of Longhu Mountain. It's just that their headmaster looked up to me and treated me as my equal. So that's it. After listening to Yang Lin's explanation, several people still had a trace of confusion on their faces. Apparently they didn't understand why the leader of Longhu Mountain was talking to Yang Lin as his peers. After all, the current headmaster of Longhu Mountain must be in his 80s or 90s if calculated according to his age. After Yang Lin exchanged greetings with a group of Taoists, Yang Lin suddenly asked, I wonder how Brother Yifeng is doing now. If Pandeo remembers correctly, his 100th birthday will be in 2 days. After hearing Yang Lin's words, the group of Taoists nodded first. Then he sighed softly. I didn't expect you, Uncle Master, to remember that the day after tomorrow is indeed Master's 100th birthday. But Master himself once said that 100 years old is his final limit. If I can get over it, I will be fine for the rest of my life, but if I can't get over it, it's God's will. It's just that according to Master's current physical condition, I'm afraid it will be difficult. Having said this, the group of Taoists suddenly paused. Uncle Master, since you happen to be here, why not come with me to Longhu Mountain the day after tomorrow to celebrate Master's birthday? What do you think? After hearing this, Yang Lin thought for a moment and then nodded. That's fine. Anyway, Longhu Mountain is only 100 miles away from here. I'll take this opportunity to visit Taoist brother Yifeng. Seeing that Yang Lin agreed, the faces of both the group of Taoists and the Taoist boy Wenzu suddenly showed a look of joy. That's great. If Master knew that you, Uncle Master, were going to, he would be extremely happy. Uncle, please sit here for a while. I will cook for you now and let you have a taste of my cooking. After saying that, the group of Taoists with happy faces left the box. Only half an hour passed before a table of Quan Suzai, which was delicious, and delicious, was brought into the private room. Several people who had been hungry all day immediately started eating with ease. From time to time bursts of praise came out of his mouth. By the time the meal was finished, it was already an hour later. And the time came to 9 o'clock in the evening. After agreeing to go up the mountain to celebrate his birthday, Yang Lin left Changqing Pavilion with several members of the program team. Then the group of people returned to their hotel rooms. Just when everyone in the program crew was resting, construction teams were entering the major water bodies and water sources in Luteng City one after another. According to Yang Lin's requirements, these construction teams built real dragon statues overnight in these water sources, rivers, lakes, and other places. One night passed, and lifelike dragon sculptures of different shapes appeared on all the rivers and lakes in Luteng City. Such a weird scene quickly aroused heated discussion among the citizens of Luteng City. Some people think this is a face-saving project created by the municipal government. But there are also knowledgeable people who have seen something. All of a sudden, all kinds of opinions emerged one after another on the internet. For this reason, Luteng city officials had to come forward to refute the rumors. They firmly claimed that these were just landscapes. As for whether the citizens believe it or not, they have no choice. As the initiator of all this, Yang Lin came to the company immediately after waking up in the morning. Originally, several members of the program team were still curious about why he came so early today. Until a figure appeared outside the office door. "Go and open the door, guests are coming." As Yang Lin said this in a calm tone, Lin Hong, the only employee of the company, immediately stepped forward and opened the office door. The next second, a well-dressed middle-aged man over 50 strode in. "Hello, Mr. Yang, I was introduced here by Mr. Zhao. My name is Wang Yang. I heard him say that you are a very capable person. I just have a tough problem right now. As long as you can help me solve it, money is not a problem." After he finished speaking, Yang Lin immediately motioned to Lin Hong to bring him a chair. "Sir, you can first tell me what problem you are encountering, and then Pandeo will give you a solution." "Okay, that's it. I'm in the antique calligraphy and painting business, and I've made a lot of money over the years. A few years ago, I listened to a friend's advice and invested in a real estate project. However, the developer had some funding problems and the house was unfinished before it was even completed. I owe a lot of debt, not to mention that I am now an old man. I am chased by a group of people every day to ask for debts. Now I am so worried that I can't sleep every day, and my hair is falling out in handfuls." As he spoke, he took off the wig on his head, revealing the bald head underneath. "So what is your request?" "My appeal is to get as much money back as possible from selling this unfinished property. Of course, I also know that the place is relatively remote, and it's impossible for anyone to be so stupid as to take over." After making his request, the man looked at Yang Lin sincerely, looking forward to his answer. After hearing what he said, several people from the program team couldn't help but look at each other. Good guy, he really dared to ask. That is to say, only a fool would take this kind of bad deal. If unfinished projects could be thrown away casually, there wouldn't be so many unfinished projects in the world. His kind of luck is relatively unlucky, so he should find a way to change his luck. Just as they were muttering in low voices, Yang Lin suddenly said, "Pandeo looks at your face, you should have a windfall recently, and this windfall is related to your unfinished building. So Pandeo's suggestion is that it's best not to sell it out." "Ah." The bald man obviously didn't expect Yang Lin's suggestion to be this, and he was stunned for a moment. After a long while, he said dubiously, "Taoist master, are you lying to me? Can this unfinished building still make me a fortune? Isn't that like pie in the sky? If what you said is true, let alone the 5,000 consulting fee, I would be willing to pay even if it is 50,000 or 500,000. As soon as he finished speaking, his cell phone rang in his pocket. "I'm sorry, Taoist priest, I'm going out to take a call." With that said, he walked straight out. When he came back again, his whole body was trembling. "I almost couldn't even hold my phone steady." His eyes were filled with disbelief. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 302. When Wang Yang walked into the office with trembling hands, the program team quickly noticed the strangeness. What's wrong with him? Why is he acting like this? Is he just showing off? I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the phone call just now. Could it be that my wife gave birth? Are you kidding? What's wrong with being so old? It's still said that the house in my hometown has been demolished. Looking at how excited he is, maybe he won the lottery. Could it be that the windfall that teacher Yang just mentioned was the lottery ticket? Just when several people were speculating, Wang Yang finally came to Yang Lin. Yang Lin didn't seem surprised by his performance, he just looked at him with a smile. What the hell, what I said is true. As soon as these words came out, Wang Yang nodded repeatedly. Taoist master, you are truly amazing. Just now, an internal friend of mine told me that the area where my investment property is located has been planned by the city government as a new college city. By then, 5 key primary and junior high schools in Luteng City will have moved collectively to Swaywan Newtown. In other words, the properties I invested in will directly become housing in the school district. As long as I can hold on for a few more months, all my previous investment will be recovered, and I can even make a fortune. At this point, Wang Yang couldn't help but burst into laughter. After listening to his story, everyone showed confused expressions. This kind of thing can only happen in movies when an unfinished building turns into a school district housing. I didn't expect that it would actually happen in real life today. In an instant, the audience in the live broadcast room couldn't hold back. Let me go, what kind of magical luck is this? How can we come back from such a desperate situation? That is to say, in the face of such a situation, it is considered good that most people do not jump off the building. After it becomes a school district housing, not only will people continue to do the development work, but even the housing prices will increase exponentially. This is simply great luck. Isn't it? It's just like turning a tractor into a Ferrari. You can earn tens of millions or hundreds of millions even if you don't talk about it, it's a windfall. When will it be my turn to get such a windfall? There is everything in the dream. But I feel that this matter has nothing to do with Yang Lin. It has been planned from the beginning. It is only a matter of time before we know it. You can't say that. Everything in this world has cause and effect. Maybe if Yang Lin hadn't said this, he wouldn't have known about it. That's right, don't underestimate the butterfly effect. Who knows, if he didn't know about Yang Lin, he might have jumped off the rooftop. One drink, one peck, and it's destiny. Isn't it said in ancient proverbs that borrowing money from others is auspicious words? What Yang Lin just said is auspicious words. While everyone was still talking to each other, Wang Yang thanked him again. Taoist priest, I really want to lend you auspicious words this time. If Lao Zhao hadn't told me yesterday that there is such a god like you, I would have jumped off the rooftop at midnight last night. Several of my friends jumped off buildings in the past 2 days. As he spoke, he seemed to think of something again and hurriedly opened his briefcase and took out a wad of cash prepared in advance. Taoist priest, this is 5,000 yuan in consulting fees. I will definitely thank you again for the money I make when the time comes. As he spoke, Wang Yang respectfully placed the 5,000 yuan consultation fee on Yang Lin's desk. In response, Yang Lin did not refuse, but continued to look between Wang Yang's eyebrows. The next second, under Wang Yang's doubtful eyes, he slowly said, actually, the windfall that Bandeo refers to doesn't just refer to that unfinished building. According to your destiny, there is still a bigger windfall waiting for you. This windfall is enough for your family to live and feed for several generations. Ah! Almost without thinking, Wang Yang agreed. No way. Isn't it a windfall to convert an unfinished building into a school district apartment? There are bigger things than this. To be honest, it's not that there's nothing. There's also a warehouse of rags that I picked up a few years ago, and they're not worth much. Faced with Wang Yang's questioning, Yang Lin immediately smiled and nodded. And Yang Lin was not ready to sell out anymore at this time. Then what else is more valuable than a house in a school district? Every year, I spend thousands of dollars on warehouse rental fees for these junk items. After hearing Wang Yang's words, Yang Lin did not immediately argue but stood up from his office chair and said, as long as I have a valuable item, I won't end up like this. Yes, the windfall that Pandeo refers to is hidden in these things. After saying these words with a wry smile, Wang Yang once again looked at Yang Lin expectantly. No problem. And I don't speculate in stocks or buy stocks. Even if I want to make a fortune, I have no chance. It's better than this. Pandeo will go with you to see if there is any treasure that Pandeo mentioned. If there are any, let Pandeo choose 3 of them as rewards. What do you think? Taoist priest, please don't fool me. In order to pay off foreign debts, our family has sold everything we can over the years, leaving only a dilapidated house with nothing of value at all. And I myself have been in the antique shop for so many years. I can more or less judge whether it is valuable or not. It's no use having a gold mine. This kind of mineral belongs to the state. If you dare to mine privately, it's a crime. Are you sure your family has nothing but the house? The value will be far greater than the property you invested in. But soon, his expression changed slightly. By the way, what is this bigger windfall? Oh, people are so irritating. Oh my God, what kind of fate is this? Why isn't my fate as good as his? Even winning the lottery can't compare to it. Having said this, he seemed to understand something, and his eyes immediately showed excitement. Hearing this question, Wang Yang shook his head subconsciously, and then seemed to remember something. It's true. What kind of windfall can there be? Is it possible that there is a gold mine buried under his house? After receiving Yang Lin's affirmative reply, Wang Yang could no longer remain calm. In fact, after hearing Yang Lin's words, Wang Yang was more curious and looking forward to it than the rest of the program team. When he said this, not only Wang Yang, but also several members of the program team nearby showed expressions of disbelief. It stands to reason that it's impossible. I had all these things verified by experts. They are either modern imitations, or they are worthless defective products that cannot be sold at a high price. Basically, they are just eye-catching items that cannot be sold. Taoist priest, do you mean there are valuable things in these things? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 303. Half an hour later, Yang Lin and others, led by Wang Yang, arrived at a warehouse located on Chemical Avenue in Luteng City. The warehouse occupies a small area, only about 100 square meters. The entrance is already covered with weeds. It is obvious that no one has been here for a long time. Even the lock that links the warehouse door is rusty. After trying more than a dozen keys in a row, Wang Yang finally opened the door. I haven't been here for more than a year. If you hadn't told me, Taoist master, I would have almost forgotten that such a place existed. As soon as he finished speaking, the iron door burst open. Large swaths of dust came towards us, carrying the smell of decay. There is the smell of rotting wood, the smell of books that have been stored for a long time, and even the smell of metal rust. Looking around, there are all kinds of messy things scattered in the warehouse. There are porcelain, calligraphy and painting, wood products, handicrafts, as well as statues and Buddha statues. Each piece seems to have a lot of background, but each piece always seems to be missing a little bit of meaning. When the lights in the warehouse came on, the program team members were immediately amazed. Good guy, Boss Wang really dares to accept anything. There are also bronzes here. If I remember correctly, the country does not allow the circulation of bronzes. It's definitely not circulable if it's genuine, but it doesn't matter if it's fake, so it goes without saying that it's definitely fake. That must be a lie. If it is true, then this Simuwa cauldron is probably enough for Boss Wang to squat in there for a lifetime. A staff member smiled and patted a large bronze cauldron next to him. At the same time, A staff member on the other side picked up a bronze sword from a wooden shelf. This thing is an imitation of King Gujian's sword of Yu. The imitation is quite real, but Boss Wang, don't you know that this thing is in the museum? If it is real, wouldn't the one in the museum become fake? You also have a picture of Fukun Mountain residence here. Where did you get it from? Don't accept something that looks fake at first sight. Let me go, there are several terracotta warriors and horses here. Who made these things? And this jade cabbage, such a big piece of jade is such a crappy thing. Do you still need experts to identify these things? I can identify them for you. By the way, Boss Wang, are you really in the antique business? How do you make money? I'm very curious. As everyone was talking to each other, Wang Yang also showed an embarrassed look on his face. He, these were all collected when I first entered the industry. I didn't understand it at that time, so I just recycled everything because of my courage. That's why I said that basically everything that appears here is waste, but I thought that I couldn't let this waste flow out and harm people, so I kept it in the warehouse. Hearing Wang Yang's words, the program crew, who had looked sarcastic just now, immediately gave him a thumbs up. Boss Wang, although your taste is a bit poor, your character is still good. After saying these words, everyone looked at Yang Lin at the same time. Teacher Yang, this is just a garbage dump. Are there really treasures in it? I doubt it too. Facing everyone's doubts, Yang Lin quickly scanned the warehouse. If Pandeo's calculations are correct, that thing should be in that direction. As he spoke, Yang Lin pointed his finger at the innermost corner of the warehouse. In addition to a large number of fake collections in the corner, the most eye-catching one is a 4-meter-tall giant Buddha. There is no problem with the overall craftsmanship of the big Buddha, but the appearance almost didn't make a few people present laugh out loud. Just because his appearance is clearly modeled after the Tathagata Buddha in a TV series. To be precise, it was carved according to the actor who played it. Teacher Yang, could the valuable treasure you mentioned be this Buddha statue? Maybe this thing is not even older than me. That must not exist. It was only a few years ago when the TV series came out. Calculating, this statue is only 10 years old at most. I think what Teacher Yang is talking about is not the Buddha statue, but the pile of things next to the Buddha statue. Is it right for Teacher Yang? But as soon as he finished saying this, Yang Lin shook his head. There was another knocking sound, and the Buddha statue that just appeared was smashed to pieces again. While talking, several members of the program team rolled up their sleeves and organized all the items in the warehouse to both sides, creating a path in the middle. Click. Another Buddha statue below was revealed. There is even laser-printed fonts on the back of the Buddha statue. Not necessarily. If it is sold to a temple, it might be sold for a lot of money, but it will only cost a few thousand yuan. Let's not talk too much. Let's clear out the pile of things first. Maybe we can really find some treasures. After a careful search, they found nothing. This time everyone couldn't bear it anymore. But at this moment, Yang Lin suddenly walked towards the Buddha statue. In their opinion, although this Buddha statue is a replica, it is still a Buddha statue. It would be somewhat disrespectful to smash it like this. For a moment, no one could tell whether Yang Lin was joking or serious. This thing will be disliked by people wherever it is taken to collect scraps. Not to mention the Buddha statue, a pure postmodern forgery. Okay, let's do it together. Before anyone could understand his intention, he casually picked up a gilt copper hammer made by the modern metallurgical industry from the ground. Could it be said that the statue inside is the real body and a truly valuable treasure? Such a scene immediately stunned everyone. No, that's the Buddha statue I'm talking about. With this path in hand, everyone quickly went deep into the warehouse and walked up to the Buddha statue. But they soon felt relieved. After all, Yang Lin was born in a Taoist sect and naturally had no respect for the Buddha. But the scene that appeared next made them a little unbelievable. Just when everyone had this idea, the copper hammer in Yang Lin's hand was raised again. So where is the valuable thing? For a while, everyone was unsure. After smashing several large and small Buddha statues in succession, the contents inside were finally completely exposed. I saw that there was a smaller Buddha statue in the belly of the smashed Buddha. Good guy, this thing is actually specially supplied from abroad. I don't know which unlucky country bought it. Boom. Made in Longguo. Ah, this. Instead, a nest of mice was found. This is a Matryoshka doll, this is it. With just a crisp sound, Yang Lin used a copper hammer to smash a big hole in the belly of the 4-meter-high Buddha statue. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 304. In the warehouse, as the Buddha was smashed open layer by layer, what was exposed to everyone, apart from a pile of fragments, was a golden Buddha statue over half a meter high. Under the illumination of the warehouse lights, this golden Buddha statue exudes a fascinating golden light. Compared with the previous rough-shaped Buddha, this golden body is far superior in terms of shape and craftsmanship. Even laymen can appreciate its value. After the shock, the eyes of the program crew focused on Yang Lin again. Teacher Yang, you saw something inside the Buddha statue early on, right? Yes, who on earth hid this golden body so well inside? If Teacher Yang hadn't discovered it, no one in this life would have known that there was such a golden body hidden inside this Buddha statue. It's wrapped in 6 layers. Who has put so much effort into hiding this golden body? The value of this golden body is probably immeasurable. In fact, not only the program crew, but also the viewers in the live broadcast room were surprised when they saw this scene. Sure enough, what Yang Lin said was never wrong. This golden body might be made of pure gold. A child this big weighs at least 100 pounds. According to the current price of gold, it can be sold for a lot of money even if it is melted. In my opinion, it's more than just a ball of gold. The craftsmanship doesn't seem modern, it's a bit like the Ming and Qing dynasties. Indeed, I have been to many temples, but I have never seen one as spiritual as this one. Isn't it still an old thing? I feel that it is somewhat similar to the gilt bronze Yamantaka statue from the Yongle period of the Ming dynasty that was previously auctioned by Sotheby's. If I remember correctly, it sold for a sky-high price of 130 million. This one is only more valuable than Yamantaka. I'll go, that won't make you rich. While everyone was talking to each other, Wang Yang, the owner of the warehouse, was also very excited. Having been in the antiques industry for more than 10 years, he still has a keen eye. With just one glance, he realized that this golden body was not simple. After careful observation, his expression immediately changed. This is the Yongle gilt bronze seated statue of Sakyamuni Buddha from the Ming dynasty. And it came from the palace. The workmanship and details are absolutely flawless. An old craftsman who is not from the palace would not be able to achieve such an effect. As he spoke, he took out a pair of magnifying glasses from his pocket. Not long after, he found a signature on the back of the Buddha statue. It was the signature that made him more convinced of his guess. When several people from the program team on the side saw Wang Yang recognized the golden statue, they hurriedly gathered around. Boss Wang, what is the origin of this golden body? Can you tell us about it? Yeah, it looks very valuable. After hearing the questions from several people, Wang Yang first put away his magnifying glass, and then took a deep breath. This is no longer a question of whether it's valuable or not. In other words, the value of this golden body can no longer be measured by money. He is not only the pinnacle of Ming dynasty court skills, but also a supreme treasure in Buddhist collections. Few Buddhist collections in the world today can match it in terms of craftsmanship and artistic conception. If there's an argument for value, I think it's worth at least that. As he spoke, Wang Yang stretched out a palm and spread his fingers. After hearing Wang Yang's words and his gesture, the program crew immediately looked at each other. They thought that this golden statue might be valuable, but they did not expect that Wang Yang would give him such a high evaluation. And the 5 fingers he stretched out obviously did not refer to 5 million, nor was it worth 50 million, but 500 million. When they thought of a collection worth 500 million yuan, right in front of themselves and others, their breathing suddenly became rapid. But at this moment, Yang Lin suddenly stepped forward and searched among the Buddha statues. At this time, they suddenly remembered what Yang Lin had said before. Could it be that there is more? When they thought of this, everyone hurriedly followed Yang Lin to search among the pile of Buddha statue debris. After a while, they actually found a few things. These items are a magic pestle, a wooden box, a string of Buddhist beads and 3 small stones. You don't need to think about it to know that if these things can be placed next to the golden body, they are naturally not ordinary objects. Before several people could open their mouths to ask what these things were, Wang Yang once again looked at the magic pestle with excitement on his face. Seeing his expression, everyone knew that this magic pestle was also of extraordinary value. On the contrary, he didn't even look at the other 3 things. A treasure is another treasure. Recently, the value of the demon-conquering pestle is no less than that of the golden body. You can tell at a glance that it's from the same period. I'm really going to post it this time. After saying this, Wang Yang's face could no longer hide the look of ecstasy. After a long while, he finally calmed down. As if he thought of something, he immediately looked at Yang Lin aside. The next second his face showed a tangled look, and finally he said after showing a pained expression. If it weren't for you, Taoist Master Yang, I might never know that there are so many treasures hidden here until my death. I remember you said before that you would choose 3 things from these things as reward. You can choose now. If I say no, I will be the son of a bastard. As soon as he said this, several people from the program team gave him a thumbs up again. Even the viewers in the live broadcast room praised it. This boss Wang really has a plan, and he deserves to be rich. Yes, most people may have forgotten their previous promises when faced with this wave of wealth. It goes without saying that this is not something worth hundreds of thousands or millions, but a peerless treasure worth hundreds of millions. Just the golden body and the demon-conquering pestle are enough to make people worry-free for the rest of their lives. To be fair, if I were him, I would have to consider whether to regret it at this time. After all, if Yang Lin is interested in the golden body and the magic pestle, he will suffer a big loss. Yang Lin must have calculated in advance what items would be inside, so he must have thought about which 3 items to pick out in advance. It goes without saying that I must choose the most valuable one. That's not necessarily the case. Things like money no longer mean much to Yang Lin. If he wants money, there are more ways to do it. Does it mean he will choose the last 3? Just when everyone was looking forward to Yang Lin's decision, Yang Lin also revealed an unexpected result. He gave up the golden body, the magic pestle and the wooden box, and chose the last 3 inconspicuous pebbles. As soon as this result came out, everyone immediately became very interested in these 3 pebbles of unknown origin. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 305. Seeing Yang Lin make his decision, even Wang Yang, the owner of these treasures, couldn't help but give advice. Taoist Yang, do you want to think about it again? Even if you choose another few, I won't have any objection. Hearing Wang Yang's words, Yang Lin shook his head without thinking. How about I give you everything except these 2? Facing Wang Yang's second opening, Yang Lin still shook his head firmly. This time, Wang Yang was completely out of control. From his point of view, except for the golden body and the demon-conquering pestle, although the other items can be considered high-quality products, they are not worth much money. As for the 3 pebbles, he didn't even know what they were. This thing doesn't look like a valuable object at all. Instead, it looks like an ordinary stone that accidentally fell into the Buddha statue. But since Yang Lin valued it so much, he couldn't say anything else. And several members of the program team on the side finally couldn't bear it anymore. "Teacher Yang, please tell us what these 3 little stones are? What's their origin?" "Yes, it looks quite ordinary, as if it was picked up casually on the roadside." Also curious about this issue were the viewers in the live broadcast room. After some observation, they also made various guesses. "Isn't this a meteorite? I think it should be some kind of unknown gem. Could it be jade? Even if they are all diamonds, they are not worth much. Then why did Yang Lin choose these 3? Isn't it some kind of artifact?" Suddenly everyone became curious about this pebble. And at this time, Yang Lin finally gave the answer. "I saw him picking up one of them. This thing is not simple. If I am not mistaken, this should be the legendary relic." Relic. Hearing Yang Lin read its name, everyone had strange expressions on their faces. Isn't the relic what the legend left behind after the eminent monk was cremated? I read online that the relics are actually stones and some metal residues in the monk's body. If that's the case, if you burn me on fire, I can burn out the relics. It shouldn't be that simple. Relics don't appear often. Even if it's a relic, it shouldn't be worth much money. Yes, there should still be a lot of this stuff in the country. It doesn't have much collection value, nor does it have much value as a cultural relic." Faced with everyone's disdain, Yang Lin smiled and shook his head. "These 3 relics are not as simple as you think. They are not only finger bone relics, but they also come from a legendary figure. You should be familiar with this person. His name is Sakyamuni." The whole audience was shocked when these words came out. They may not know about other eminent monks, but there should be no one who has not heard of Sakyamuni's name. In Buddhist legends, he is the founder of Buddhism and is also revered as Buddha. His status is equivalent to the 3 pure ones in Taoism. If the 3 relics in front of you are really the finger bone relics of Sakyamuni, then their value will far exceed all the objects present. Of course, this value does not refer to the actual value, because no one would choose to sell the finger bone relics of Sakyamuni. No one dares to do such a thing. Therefore, these 3 relics are truly priceless treasures. After realizing this, everyone's eyes changed again when they looked at the relic in Yang Lin's hand. But soon a trace of doubt arose in their minds. If Yang Lin was born in Buddhism and collected this finger bone relic, it would be understandable. But he happened to be from a Taoist sect. This finger bone relic should be of no use to him, so why did he choose these 3 bone graft relics instead of other treasures? However, this time Yang Lin did not give any answer. He just put the 3 finger bone relics into his sleeve and said nothing. And no one continued to ask questions. While talking, Wenzu left the office. After he left, Yang Lin also felt worried. After hearing Wenzu's words, Yang Lin remembered that he hadn't charged his phone for a long time. Just at this moment, a familiar figure suddenly appeared outside the office. To weaken the power of the natural disaster. "Thank you for your help, Master, but I still have to prepare this matter myself. If you want to successfully survive the Yangshen tribulation, you must prepare many treasures needed to overcome the calamity." Surprisingly, it was Wenzu whom he had just met last night. "My master is looking for you. He asked me to ask if you need to prepare birthday gifts for you to go up the mountain. If you haven't prepared any, he can prepare one for you." As soon as he got it, he felt an unusual aura from the 3 finger bone relics. "The last time I did the Yangshen tribulation, I almost didn't make it through. If I break through the Yangshen so rashly this time, I am afraid that I will be killed by the heavenly tribulation on the spot. As long as he waits for the right time to get rid of these two treasures, his life will be another set of opportunities. As soon as he entered the office, he couldn't wait to speak. Yang Lin suddenly became excited when he thought that it was so easy to become an immortal. As the founder of Buddhism and the supreme belief in Buddhism, he has hundreds of millions of believers throughout Blue Star. As soon as he returned to the company, he immediately took out the three-finger bone relics from before. After they confirmed that there were no other valuable objects at the scene, Wang Yang immediately called the security company to personally deposit the two treasures into the bank's vault. After looking at it carefully, he put away the three relics again. Just absorbing one of them is enough for Yang Lin to break through to the next level, Yang Shen fake immortal. Of course, the rest of this has nothing to do with Yang Lin. He has already received the reward he deserves. Uncle Master, I finally found you. The phone number you left for us yesterday couldn't be reached. I only found you after watching your video online. It was a feeling that was both familiar and unfamiliar. Okay, then I'll go back first. It is a unique power that carries countless karma and the wishes of all living beings after years of precipitation. After taking a look at Wenzu, who didn't look like something serious had happened, he immediately asked. After Wang Yang expressed his gratitude, he returned to the company again. At that time, it will be one step away from becoming an immortal. Therefore, Yang Lin will not consider absorbing these three Buddha bone relics in a short period of time. As soon as he said this, Yang Lin remembered that he would go to Longhu Mountain to celebrate his birthday tomorrow. Even if only 1/10,000th is preserved, the number is quite terrifying. It is easy to become a Yang God, but when you break through to the next great realm, you will inevitably face the baptism of heavenly tribulation like last time. But he soon calmed down. And these all take time to prepare. Is your master looking for me, or are you looking for me? These believers pray to him every day. You may even need to rely on other forces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 306. When Yang Lin first arrived at Blue Star, in order to understand the situation in this world and to find the possibility of returning to the fairy world again, his first stop was to Longhu Mountain. He was only about 10 years old that year, but relying on his understanding of Taoism and his foresight, he soon became a close friend of Zhang Yifeng, the current headmaster of Longhu Mountain. Zhang Yifeng even accepted disciples on behalf of his master, making Yang Lin the master uncle of all the disciples in Longhu Mountain. With such a relationship, Yang Lin naturally had to make good preparations for the birthday gifts needed to go up the mountain. Thinking of this, he immediately said to the people in the program team beside him, "How much do you know about Luteng City?" Suddenly hearing this question, several members of the program team were stunned for a moment, and then answered, "I don't know much about it. It's our first time here, but the internet is so convenient now, so we can just search it online." "Teacher Yang, why are you asking this question?" Yang Lin did not hide the curiosity from everyone. He directly expressed his intention to prepare a birthday gift. After listening to his explanation, the program team suddenly realized. So that's it? Isn't this kind of thing simple? By the way, your birthday gift is intended to be given to the Celestial Master in Longhu Mountain. In this case, it is definitely not appropriate to give ordinary gifts. In my opinion, why don't you, Teacher Yang, take matters into your own hands and prepare a few things? Yes, Teacher Yang, you are good at refining medicine, painting, and jade carving. All the things you make are exquisite. It's countless times better than what you can buy with money on the market. Yes, yes, isn't it just a gift? After listening to the opinions given by several members of the program team, Yang Lin, who was still confused at first, suddenly had an idea in his mind. What you said does make sense. In this case, please take Pandeo out to do some shopping. As soon as Yang Lin said this, the program team immediately agreed. Hey, wait, we are good at this. While talking, several people started searching on their mobile phones, and soon they found the target. After having the goal, the program team immediately drove Yang Lin to the ancient culture street of Luteng City, which is more than 10 kilometers away from the Luteng building. As one of Luteng City's business cards, Luteng City's ancient culture street has a history of 500 years and has been a place for exchanges among ancient culture enthusiasts since the Ming Dynasty. Not only can you find a lot of old items here, but you can also buy some exquisite products made with ancient crafts. Hu brush, Hui ink, Duan inkstone, rice paper, all are available, and all are complete. If you want to create a masterpiece of calligraphy and painting yourself, these things are essential. There are even many jade antiques here. In terms of status, it is equivalent to Jiu Avenue in Jinghai City. When the program team led Yang Lin into Ancient Culture Street, the scene they saw gave them a familiar feeling. Especially the lively scene with people coming and going. Teacher Yang, we are not in the wrong place. If you want to choose gifts for the elderly, you must come here. While talking, a staff member of the program crew who was watching the guide on his mobile phone pointed to a store in front of him. Teacher Yang, that's it? This shop is called Sibazai. It specializes in pens, inks, paper and inkstones. It has been passed down for more than 200 years. There are several old gentlemen in it, all of whom are the intangible inheritors of our dragon kingdom. I heard that any pen they make can be sold for thousands or tens of thousands, and it's still hard to find. Yang Lin, who was still looking around, suddenly became interested after hearing this introduction. The pen and ink he used in his previous creations were just bought casually from a roadside stationery store. Therefore, it will have a certain impact on the quality of the finished product. If you are entertaining yourself, it's fine, but if you want to use it as a gift, naturally you can't be so perfunctory. Since you said so, let's go in and take a look. Yang Lin walked straight towards the shop called Sibazai. As soon as he entered the door, he smelled the strong fragrance of books and ink. The moment he smelled the aroma, he knew he was in the right place. Looking around, although the decoration in the store is not luxurious, it has an inexplicable charm. Although the paintings and calligraphy works hanging on the walls are not by famous artists, they are all the best among the best. Especially the 4 words "purple energy comes from the east" on the center panel exude an indescribable majesty. Just when Yang Lin was looking at the calligraphy and painting works in the store, a slender girl with a high ponytail walked up to her. The girl's light makeup and plain clothes complement the atmosphere of the store. Hello, Taoist priest, do you need anything? Do I need to buy calligraphy and painting or the 4 treasures of the study? Hearing the girl's voice, Yang Lin came back to his senses at this time. Can I let Pandeo take a look at the pens, inks, papers and inkstones you have here? Okay, please follow me. Saying this, the ponytail girl led Yang Lin to the side. I saw densely packed mahogany shelves with elegant shapes. These shelves alone look to be quite a few years old. On these shelves, different types of pens, inks, papers and inkstones are placed in different categories. Some are simply placed on the shelves, while others are treasured and placed in brocade boxes. The ones placed here in order are Hu brushes, Taekang brushes, Sichuan brushes, and Vengong brushes. There are sheep hair, Jian hair, purple hair, and wolf hair. I don't know which one you want. Listening to the girl's introduction, Yang Lin first glanced at the brushes on the shelf, and then shook his head. Obviously, he didn't like any of these brushes. The girl was not surprised by this and still had a smile on her face. Then I'll give you another batch. As she spoke, she put the previous batch of brushes aside and brought in another batch. And this batch is obviously much better in quality than the previous batch. But after Yang Lin read it again, he still shook his head. Can you exchange for a better batch? Hearing Yang Lin's words, the girl smiled politely and then nodded. Not long after, she brought a batch of better quality brushes. But there was still no change in the result, and Yang Lin was still not satisfied. Seeing Yang Lin shaking his head again and again, the girl's face finally showed an impatient look. This Taoist priest, choosing a brush is not about the more expensive the better, but the one that suits you. The ones I just showed you are all made by famous artists. Whether they are for personal use or as gifts, they are all good choices. I suggest you consider them carefully. Faced with the girl's persuasion, Yang Lin did not beat around the bush, but directly pointed to the brocade boxes on the shelf behind him and said, "The ones just now are indeed good, but they can't catch Pandeo's eyes. Can I take a look at the ones over there?" As soon as these words came out, the girl's expression suddenly changed slightly. But in the end she still had her temper and took a brocade box from behind. Opening the lid of the brocade box, a delicate purple hair pen soon appeared in the brocade box. In addition to the pen, there is also a price tag and a signature placed next to it. When the members of the program team who came with Yang Lin saw the price on the price tag, their faces suddenly showed disbelief. "Are you crazy? You sell a brush for 180,000 yuan. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes." Author, Immortal Q. Int Love Is. Chapter 307. In the eyes of ordinary people, ordinary pens, inks, paper and inkstones are worth tens or hundreds of dollars. If it is a high-quality product, several thousand to tens of thousands is acceptable. But the number on the price tag in the brocade box was really beyond their expectations. Not to mention the number of people in the program team, even the audience in the live broadcast room were in a rage. "Can anyone tell me if I saw an extra zero?" "You read that right, it's 4 zeros. Dear me, my monthly salary is 3,000 yuan. Are you telling me that a brush like this can be sold for 180,000 yuan? All the parts on my body are not worth as much as this brush. Good guy, such a writing brush can buy a small apartment in my hometown county. Who said our Dragon Kingdom doesn't have luxuries, isn't it? Sure enough, the luxury of our Dragon Country's things is almost life-threatening. Can anyone tell me what's so good about this pen that it's worth 180,000? Is it possible that it can write on its own? With 180,000 yuan, I can hire 18-year-old college students to write for me for a month. The words written by 18-year-old college students may not be worth much, but you can ask 80-year-old men to write for you. You can't say that. This pen may have been made by a master of intangible cultural heritage. This is nothing. The most expensive brush in the world is said to have sold for more than 3 million yuan. Compared with this one, it is truly sky high. If you give this pen as a gift, it should be a good enough gift, right?" Just when everyone was sighing at the price of this pen, Yang Lin also looked at it seriously. But soon he still shook his head. And what he said next almost made the girl fall to the ground on the spot. "The workmanship of this pen is indeed good, but the material is a bit inferior. Can it be replaced with a better one?" Listening to what he said, the girl's face suddenly showed an expression of disbelief. She even wondered if she had heard wrongly. It took a long while before she finally reacted. "Taoist priest, are you serious? You actually said that the material of this pen is poor. It is made of the finest purple hair and the finest ink bamboo. The purple hair on hundreds of rabbits can't even make up such a pen, let alone such a bamboo that has been planted for decades." Obviously Yang Lin's words just now really left her speechless. She even suspected that Yang Lin was pretending to understand. At this moment, Yang Lin suddenly pointed to a brocade box placed in the 6th row of the 3rd row behind him. "Can you show me that one to Pandeo for a look?" Everyone was surprised. When Yang Lin said this, the girl was stunned for a moment, and then glanced in the direction he pointed. Suddenly his eyes changed slightly. Are you sure you want to see this one? The price of this one may be more expensive. Upon hearing her words, several members of the program team immediately showed disapproval. Is there anything more expensive than 180,000? That is to say, it will only cost tens of thousands more if it reaches the sky. It doesn't matter. If the quality is really good, it's okay to spend tens of thousands more. Teacher Yang probably won't care about this little money anyway. That is to say, little sister, you can use it to make us look longer. Facing the booing members of the program team, the girl turned around and took the brocade box off the shelf without saying too much nonsense. After she carefully took down the brocade box, she gently opened the lid. But what appeared in front of everyone this time was a Yanghe pen with a jade body. The appearance alone is enough to crush the previous one. Taoist master, what did you just say? I didn't hear you clearly. For this pen, 980,000 yuan is indeed not expensive. Then I will choose this pen. How do I pay for it? You read that right, it's indeed 980,000. This one is the treasure of our store. Just when several members of the program team were sighing at the price of this pen, Yang Lin's face showed a trace of satisfaction. After a while, someone immediately exclaimed. I really learned a lot today. Not only did I see a brush worth 180,000 yuan, but I also saw a brush worth 980,000 yuan. I'm sorry. She didn't react until the POS machine showed that the payment was successful. After a long while, she finally took out a POS machine from the counter. As soon as she finished speaking, the girl who had already picked up the brocade box suddenly stopped what she was doing. Even the layman on the program team can feel its nobility and sophistication. If we package and sell them all together, we won't be able to sell them for 980,000. But before he could speak, the girl had already snapped the lid of the brocade box shut. I'm just saying, don't look at it, don't look at it. Seemingly unsure, several people quickly rubbed their eyes. Sorry to bother you, let's go, it's too expensive. What's even more rare is that on its pure white pen barrel, there is still a faint red swimming dragon, which seems to be integrated with the entire pen body. It seems to be naturally formed. Teacher Yang, what do you think? That is to say, whether the handwriting is good or not mainly depends on the person. Things like pens are external objects. And the surprise didn't last long before everyone was dumbfounded by the price tag placed nearby. Yeah, I suddenly felt that the 98 yuan writing brush sold on the street is actually quite good. Isn't it just for writing? How big a difference can it make? Then he raised his head and looked at Yang Lin with a hint of confusion. The pen body alone is worth more than 500,000 yuan, not to mention the fine huang hair used to make this nib. So, this 980,000 yuan is not expensive at all. To spend 980,000 yuan on a brush, am I crazy, or is the world crazy? And Yang Lin's next request made her even more confused. Oh my god, did I read that correctly? Is this 980,000? Each piece of sheep hair is one of 10,000. It is the best of the best. It is more valuable than pure gold. It is rare. Although there is only such a small handful, its value is far more than 10 times that of gold. Now I want to collect them all. Such a one is already impossible. Pandeo is saying that Pandeo wants this pen. How should I pay you the money? Is it a bank card transfer or mobile payment? It was made by Li Ziahua, a contemporary master pen maker. The pen body is carved from a whole piece of natural Hessian jade, and the dragon-shaped pattern on it is also original. As soon as these words came out, the girl's expression immediately froze. But at this moment, Yang Lin suddenly spoke. Based on my current salary, I would have to earn it for 20 years before I could afford such a pen, and that would have to be without food or drink. After saying that, she was ready to put the brocade box back on the shelf. Just one glance will give you a feeling of being amazed. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 308. As the POS machine at the counter displayed the message that the payment was successfully received, the girl with the high ponytail suddenly felt that what had just happened was a little unreal. The brush called Shinai Utiendi worth 980,000 yuan has been placed here for almost 3 years. In the past 3 years, many enthusiasts have come specifically to pay their respects. But only for viewing. No matter how much you love it, you won't spend 980,000 to buy it. But she never expected that such a young Taoist priest would pay for it without hesitation. After her heart calmed down a little, she immediately looked at Yang Lin and said, "Wait a moment, I'll pack it for you right now. Can you tell me what kind of packaging you need?" After saying that, she was ready to enter the inner hall and choose the packaging style for Yang Lin. What she didn't expect was that Yang Lin interrupted her before she could turn around. "No need to package it, just give it to Pandeo directly." As soon as these words came out, the girl was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Yang Lin with confusion on her face. "Didn't you buy this pen as a gift?" "No, I am going to use this pen for myself." "Ah." Listening to Yang Lin's answer, the girl's expression suddenly became complicated. She previously thought that the reason why Yang Lin spent a huge amount of money to buy this brush worth 980,000 yuan was simply to give it to others or elders as a gift. Unexpectedly, Yang Lin actually said that he was planning to use it himself. She knew very well that this pen was no longer a brush in its essential sense, but a work of art and a collection. Even if someone would buy it, no one would actually write with it. Seeing that Yang Lin didn't seem to be joking, the girl was ready to say something more, but in the end she didn't say a word. Instead, he respectfully placed the brocade box in front of Yang Lin. Yang Lin was not polite about this, and directly reached out to pick up this extremely expensive writing brush worth 980,000 yuan from the brocade box. After getting started, his face once again showed a look of satisfaction. "Very good, worth the price. Now that I have the pen, I'll leave you to trouble you about the remaining 3 items. Okay, please follow me." He watched eagerly as Yang Lin played with the brush in his hand, and soon led Yang Lin to the place where the ink was stored. Like the previous brush area, various ink ingots are also placed in this area. There are even more than the previous brushes. The workmanship is also exquisite. The appearance alone gives people a feeling of great value. "I don't know what kind of ink you need. We mainly use Hui ink here. There are good pine smoke inks and there are good oil smoke inks." Perhaps because of her previous experience, this time the girl did not introduce Yang Lin to the kind of ink ingots produced in modern factories. Instead, "I will introduce the fine ink ingots from the hands of masters of ink making right from the beginning. This one is purple jade light produced in the Qing dynasty, and the price is 9,500. As she spoke, the girl took out an exquisitely shaped ink stick that was no bigger than a finger. Facing her quotation, the audience in the live broadcast room once again felt like they had learned a lot. "I'm a good boy and I've learned a lot. Just a little bit of ink can actually sell for more than 9,000. The weight is only a dozen grams at most. Doesn't it cost more than 900 per gram? The current price of gold is only over 500 per gram. This thing is more expensive than gold. Luxury is the true meaning of luxury. This thing is more valuable than gold bars. I have a feeling this one might be the cheapest one in the bunch." Just as everyone said, the girl soon picked up other ink sticks one after another. This piece was also produced in the Qing dynasty. It was called Yuyuan Tumo. It was the royal ink at that time and sold for 13,000. This piece is called Lai Long Rui and sells for 15,000. In a short while, Kung Fu Girl has introduced more than 10 types of ink ingots. Without exception, they are all ancient ink from before the Qing dynasty. The cheapest one is 9,500 yuan, and the most expensive one is as high as 58,000 yuan. This high price immediately dumbfounded everyone present. But such ink ingots worth tens of thousands did not arouse the slightest interest in Yang Lin. Seeing this, the girl seemed to suddenly think of something. She whispered the next second. "Taoist priest, are you not very interested in these? In fact, my grandfather also collected a better piece. Do you want to take a look?" As soon as these words came out, Yang Lin nodded immediately. "If there is a better one, it would be great." "Okay, then you wait here and I'll steal it for you." "No. Take it out." After saying that, the girl quietly entered the shop. When he came out again, there was an ordinary small box in his hand. After confirming that no one was around, the girl quietly opened the lid of the box. Her actions quickly attracted the attention of several members of the program team. It seemed to them that what could make the girl so cautious must be a valuable ink ingot. But when the lid of the box was opened, they discovered that it didn't seem to be the case. There was only half of the remaining ink lying in the brocade box. There are still some vague patterns on the remaining ink, but they can no longer be seen clearly. Apparently someone had used it before. Faced with such a result, several members of the program team couldn't help but said, "Little boss, aren't you trying to trick people? Why did you use someone else's leftover ink to make it? It's just that you can't even count it as 90% new. At most, it can only be considered as 50% new. How can you be so embarrassed to take out such a thing? This shouldn't be the leftovers from your grandfather's use, right? I think this ink stick is just ordinary. If you sell it to me for 100 yuan, it's too expensive for me. Take it back quickly. You couldn't have taken it by mistake." Faced with the doubts of several members of the program team, the girl became anxious on the spot. "Do you understand? Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. This is the real good thing. My grandfather spent a full 100,000 yuan to buy it. Why is it here? It's not even worth 100 yuan. If my grandfather knew that I was selling his treasure, he would beat me to death. You guys don't like it, so I'm not willing to sell it." After that, she was ready to cover the box again. But at this moment, a hand suddenly reached out to the box. "Opendao bought this piece. Since you said that your grandfather spent 100,000 yuan to buy this ink, how about you give me 150,000 yuan? As Yang Lin said these words, everyone present, including the girl, showed a shocked expression. After a long while, the girl asked dubiously, "How much did you pay just now?" 150,000. Yang Lin confirmed again. "Make a deal." As she spoke, the girl took out the POS machine with a smile on her face again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 309. One party's used residual ink actually sold for 150,000 yuan, and it was Yang Lin himself who proposed such a price. This kind of operation not only stunned the program team, but also the audience in the live broadcast room said it was incredible. No, can a piece of ink used by someone else really be sold? And it was sold for 150,000 yuan. This is too outrageous. If I hadn't watched the entire live broadcast, I would have suspected it was a script. I just checked. Ancient ink is indeed very valuable, but the most expensive ones are just that. None of the sky-high priced ink ingots auctioned online are of excellent quality. If it is really a top quality ingot, Selling it for 150,000 yuan is actually nothing. But the problem is that only 1/3 of the piece is left, and the patterns on it are blurred. How did it sell at such a price? Is it because Yanglin people are stupid and have too much money? I don't understand. I really don't understand. You can't spend money like this even if you have a lot of money. Is it possible that this ink ingot is some kind of cultural relic or national treasure? It's just a piece of ink, how can it be a national treasure? I think Yanglin definitely didn't spend 150,000 yuan to buy such a piece of residual ink for no reason. I don't know if there is something in it. Just when netizens expressed their incomprehension, the program team finally couldn't bear it anymore. Teacher Yang, can you tell us what the ink is about and why you spent 150,000 to buy it? Yeah, it looks completely worthless. Faced with the questioning from several members of the program team, Yanglin quickly gave the answer. He first picked up the ink ingot from the box, and then looked at the girl. If Pandeo guessed correctly, this piece of ink should have come from the palace. And it should have been used by a certain emperor. Hearing Yanglin's words, a hint of surprise flashed across the girl's face. How did you figure it out, Taoist priest? It is indeed as you said, this piece of ink was once a royal possession of Emperor Qianlong, but was later stolen by someone in the palace. After many twists and turns, he ended up living among the people. It is precisely because of this that my grandfather regarded it as a treasure. Taoist master, you should have recognized its identity at a glance. You must be no ordinary person, Taoist master. After listening to the girl's story, the faces of the program crew suddenly showed a hint of surprise. They finally understood why Yanglin was willing to pay such a high price for a piece of residual ink. Teacher Yang, is what he said true or false? Is this piece of ink really used by Emperor Qianlong? That's it? No wonder you are willing to spend money to buy it. You must have noticed it early on, right? As several members of the program team said, when the girl took out the ink ingot, Yanglin could already feel a faint trace of dragon energy on the ink ingot. And the person who can leave the dragon energy on this ink must be a certain emperor. It was just such a trace of dragon energy that made this originally mediocre ink ingot undergo a qualitative leap. After looking at it for a while, Yanglin put the remaining ink into his sleeve with satisfaction. Now the pen and ink are done. All that's left is the inkstone and paper. Compared with paper and ink, Yanglin's requirements for inkstone and paper are not high. Therefore, under the introduction of the girl, he quickly bought an inkstone worth more than 10,000 yuan and several pieces of rice paper. It was at this point that the girl finally understood Yanglin's intention. But just because she understood this, she became even more surprised. You must know that Yanglin spent millions on buying this 4-piece set of ink, paper, and inkstones. If it is used as a gift, it must be a big gift. But if it is just used to satisfy your daily writing, it is a bit too luxurious. Thinking of this, she finally couldn't help but ask. Taoist priest, are you really buying these just for your own use? When everyone heard this question, Yanglin thought for a moment, and then answered slowly and leisurely. I'm telling you, there are usually a lot of people who come here asking for letters. Some people offer millions, but they don't even bother to ask these old men. Her first reaction was that Yanglin didn't believe her. But as soon as the girl finished speaking, Yanglin smiled and shook his head. He casually took out the pen, ink, paper, and inkstone he bought earlier. Seeing that Yanglin was unmoved, the girl said nothing more. Yes and no. But after looking at Yanglin for a long time, there was no sign of emotion on his face. After a while, she finally reacted. Especially when they saw the pen in Yanglin's hand and the ink in front of him. Their expressions suddenly became less calm. No need, it doesn't matter whether the writing is good or bad, what matters is the intention. Pandeo has an elder whose birthday is tomorrow, and Pandeo is going to handwrite it himself as a birthday gift for him. Huh? It took me a long time to give it a gift. After washing his hands, burning incense, and concentrating, he was ready to write. Besides, Pandeo's calligraphy is pretty good, so I won't bother the masters. Soon he led Yang Lin to a quiet room on the second floor. The green smoke is slowly blowing in the quiet room, which is full of artistic conception. The next second, 4 old men appeared at the door of the quiet room. But at this moment, there was sudden movement upstairs. This is my grandpa Li. If you search for his name on the internet, you can definitely find his works. One of his recent works was auctioned online and sold for 1.86 million. Everyone is a master. If you want to ask them for a calligraphy, it usually costs tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Today, if you spend so much in our store, I can ask them to give you a calligraphy for free. What does that mean? I see that you know the goods, Taoist master, so I am willing to help you with this. After just one glance, Yang Lin immediately nodded with satisfaction. Taoist master, you told me earlier that there is no need to go to such trouble. My grandfather and several of his old friends are upstairs today. They are all members of the Dragon Kingdom Calligraphers Association. This is my grandpa Huang. He is the vice chairman of the Longguo Calligraphers Association and the vice president of the Longguo Academy of Fine Arts. His calligraphy is worth a fortune. He stopped writing more than 10 years ago, but he loves me the most. As long as the Taoist priest opens your mouth, I will ask him to come down and write one for you. After saying this, she sized up Yang Lin's reaction. This is my grandpa Zhang. Don't look at his sly eyebrows, but his cursive hand is very good. Look at the calligraphy, it's beautiful. The girl never expected such a result. What do you think? This is an additional service I provide you. In order to prove herself, she quickly pointed to the works on the wall and a bunch of photos of old men and said. These old men just looked around casually at first, but soon they were as if they were being restrained by a restraining spell. Excuse me, do you have a quiet room here? If so, Pandeo will finish writing it here and I'll ask you to frame it for me. In fact, our store can also provide ghost writing services. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 310. In the quiet room, after a series of operations such as washing hands, burning incense, and meditating, Yang Lin's condition was adjusted to the best. But just when he was about to pick up the remaining ink and grind it, a burst of exclamation suddenly came from outside the door. It's Shinayu Tiendi. Why is Shinayu Tiendi here? With the exclamation, Yang Lin's state was instantly interrupted, and he frowned unconsciously. The ponytail girl standing next to him also had an embarrassed look on her face. The next second, she walked straight towards the door. At this moment, 4 gray-haired old men appeared at the door. The old man in the lead was tall, and although he looked quite young, he was indeed in excellent condition. At this moment, his old round eyes stared straight at the brush in Yang Lin's hand. It's like trying to eat people. Seeing the girl walking towards him, he immediately raised his finger and said with trembling body. Song Ziu, please explain to me what is going on. Why is that magical weapon in his hand? Do you know how precious this pen is? Facing the old man's series of questions, the girl quickly explained. Grandpa, you misunderstood. This pen has been sold now and does not belong to us. Sold? Upon hearing the girl's answer, the old man's face suddenly showed a look of disbelief. How is this possible? This pen has been sitting here for 3 years and has not been sold. After saying that, the old man seemed to have thought of something again, and quickly asked. How much did you sell it for? As soon as these words came out, the girl's face suddenly showed a look of pride. Are you so distrustful of your granddaughter? G.S% carrot. Am I the kind of person who can suffer a loss? Let me tell you, I sold it for a full 980,000 yuan. As if she was worried that the old man wouldn't believe it, she quickly took out her mobile phone and took out the transfer record. When the old man saw the transfer record, he was finally convinced that the sky-high price writing brush that had been stored here for 3 years had indeed been sold. After realizing that everything that had just happened was just a misunderstanding, a look of embarrassment suddenly appeared on my face. Tell me, why didn't you say anything to me about such a big thing? It caused us to misunderstand other guests. You didn't even ask, how can you blame me? The girl's face was full of displeasure. At this moment, another lean old man behind the tall old man also took the initiative and said, Lao He, shouldn't you apologize to me at this time? Yes, yes, look at my brain. As he spoke, the tall old man prepared to walk towards Yang Lin. This little Taoist priest was really embarrassed just now. I'm here to apologize for disturbing your enjoyment. I'll ask my granddaughter to give you a pot of tea for free later. After saying this, the tall old man with a smile on his face was about to turn around and leave. And Yang Lin is also ready to continue to complete the previously unfinished business. But at this moment, another old man with sinister eyebrows and stern eyes outside the door suddenly pointed at Fang Kenmo in front of Yang Lin's desk and said, Old He, look at what's on the table. Is it your precious scrap of ink? It's the one you spent more than 90,000 yuan on. As soon as these words came out, the tall old man who was about to turn around and leave suddenly froze on the spot. With a trace of doubt, he quickly looked at the desk in front of Yang Lin. It was okay not to look at it, but as soon as he looked at it, he immediately felt that his blood pressure was rising, his breathing was rapid, and his heartbeat was speeding up. An old face was also red from suppressing it. He looked at the residual ink on the table and then at the ponytailed girl beside him. The fingers raised high were trembling. I wanted to say something, but couldn't say it for a long time. The next second his figure began to shake. Seeing this scene, the girl hurriedly stepped forward to help him. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. As he spoke, the girl quickly helped her to a chair nearby. He patted his chest again, patted his back again, and took out a small bottle of medicine from his pocket. After a long while, the old man finally returned to normal. And the first thing he did after returning to normal was to point at the girl's nose and curse. Songziu, you loser, you have the same virtues as your father. I dare to take out anything. Tell me. Did you sell my baby too? Facing her grandfather's questioning, the girl's face showed a hint of panic. In order to cover up her embarrassment, she had no choice but to smile and said, Didn't you say that everything in this Four Treasures Palace will belong to me sooner or later? Besides, it's just a scrap of ink. You can keep it if you keep it. It's just gathering dust if you leave it there. You might as well sell it for money. And you know what? I sold you a good price this time. I sold it to you for a total of 150,000 yuan. Ping Yuan bought it first for more than 90,000 yuan. Now it has increased by 60,000 yuan. The increase is higher than gold. It is a good deal. It was obvious that she was planning to use a gag to make this matter go away. But the tall old man obviously didn't like this. Are you trying to piss me off? Is this about money? Is our family short of money? Why did we give birth to a little money addict like you? Hurry up and return the money and get the things back. Go quickly, or I will break your legs today. As he spoke, the tall old man grabbed a crutch from another old man next to him and gestured to raise the crutch in his hand high. Facing her grandfather's hard work, the girl's face also showed a trace of embarrassment. He looked at his grandfather for a while, and then looked at Yang Lin beside him. Just when he was getting entangled, several members of the program team couldn't stand it anymore. This is not how the old man's business is done. If the buyer is unwilling to return the items he sells, how can anyone force them to return like you? That is to say, the money has been paid, which means that the contract has been reached. There is no reason to withdraw at any time, unless we want to withdraw ourselves. And if you keep this aspect, you will keep it. It is not as beautiful as an adult. Yes, yes, if you keep it, it will just be a collection and it will never be able to realize its true value. Old man, I think you can just forget it. After listening to the persuasion of several members of the program team, the old man, who was already extremely angry, suddenly became even more angry. He was stunned on the spot. What do you laymen know? The value of Fang Mo is far from what you think. If I meet someone who is really destined, what if I give it to him for free, old man? But if it's someone who has no luck, no matter how much money you spend to buy it back, it's just a waste of natural resources. His words soon resonated with the other three old men. Just when the two sides were arguing, the audience in the live broadcast room finally recognized the identities of the four old men.